Continuing on with the Clone Wars in the Nightsisters Witches arc, I hopped on over to the next episode on the list, Season 3, Episode 13, Monster. As we know from the previous episode, Ventress is no longer Dooku's apprentice. Dooku believes that Ventress is dead. The leader of the Nightsisters, the mother as everyone calls her, contacts Dooku and told him that she will supply a new assassin to replace Ventress, a male from her planet. We open up on Dathomir. Dooku lands on Dathomir, talks to the leader of the Nightsisters, Mother, tries to convince her to join forces with the Separatists, but the Nightsister Mother says that their only loyalty is reserved for one another. There's this, like, ominous voice in the background whenever the Mother speaks. I didn't notice it in the first episode. I'm assuming it was there, I just missed it maybe. It's like a deep, gruff voice that reminds me of the Diamond in the Rough scene in Aladdin when the big lion head is speaking. I'm curious what canonical explanation there is, if any, for this, or if it's just a neato audio effect meant to add a little mystery to this place. Anyway, just a little stupid observation. I don't expect it to be addressed. I'm assuming it's just there for a little haunting ambiance. So the Mother gives Dooku a drink and asks if Dooku has heard of a Sith warrior named Darth Maul. He has heard of him. The Mother says the men on their planet live on the other side of the planet. Says that there are some men over there that are a part of Maul's bloodline. This is interesting to me. I don't know if the Mother is bluffing or not. I'm assuming that this will actually be Darth Maul, but the more I think about it, the more I think it'll just be someone new. You guys know how I feel about characters who died in other Star Wars material being resurrected. And then again, I know Maul pops up at some point in the show. At least I think he does. I'm pretty positive though. That's just what I've gathered over the years, having a peripheral interest in the Clone Wars, but I guess I'll see. So the Mother tells Ventress that she has to go find the most suitable male candidate on the other side of the planet for this mission. We see Ventress looking at a bunch of male Zabraks for a selection process. She says, let the games begin. The first test is hand-to-hand combat against Ventress. It's like 5-on-1. Ventress kicks all of their asses. She dominates them. For the second test, all the lights are turned out. They have to fight in the dark, and as Ventress says, they have to see what cannot be seen. In the third challenge, there are only 2 guys left. I don't know if it's because I recently watched the box episode in the Obi-Wan Undercover arc, but this felt extremely similar to that. Smaller scale, of course. Kind of contenders in a challenge to see who is the best of the best, to see who is cut out for the job. Multiple stages to the challenge, and death to those who do not make the cut. Very similar. Very similar. Hell, the third phase even has big moving vertical pillars. I feel like I've seen all of this before. Obviously it's different, but it is so similar that the comparison is hard to miss for me, especially since I recently watched that episode. The final male fights Ventress, beats her. He's chosen to be Dooku's assassin. Yes, his combat ability without a doubt played a role, but it almost seems like the way he was super protective of the other Zabrak was another reason for his selection. Perhaps proving that he could be useful in protecting Dooku. He kind of has that protective spirit about him until the witches decide to activate what I can only describe as a Manchurian candidate. I didn't really care for the whole selection process. It felt like filler to me. I get why it's there. I get that it serves a purpose, but the entire sequence did feel like filler. So far, this arc hasn't really impressed me as much as I was hoping. Then again, it's only getting started. I have a feeling I'll enjoy it a lot more once this guy is put in his assassin role. I have a feeling his presence will offer a lot of tension for the audience. We won't know when he'll strike at the whim of the witches. So, the witches do some hocus pocus and I guess put the male Zabrak under their spell. His horns get longer, he looks more fierce, his voice seems to get deeper. He gets super tall. He's now at the whim of the Nightsisters, taking orders. You guys know how I feel about a lot of the magical hocus pocus in Star Wars, especially with this arc, so I won't go into that again. But holy shit, the next scene was great. It really made the episode for me. The kid, I guess he was a kid. He seemed a lot younger than the guy that was selected. I'll just call him the kid. The kid that the Zabrak was protecting during the selection process is brought in front of him as he's under this spell. Ventress tells him to kill the kid, and he does. I did not expect this moment. I loved it. When Ventress let that kid go earlier in the episode, you felt happy for him. He got away. He seemed like a nice dude. You didn't want to see anything bad happen to him. He was the underdog, and you hate to see the underdog get picked on, especially by someone he trusts through and through to have his back. And then this kid is brought out and is used as the final test to prove the Zabrak's allegiance. I thought it was great. Heartbreaking, but great. You felt for the kid. You even felt for the guy who's under the spell because he didn't want to do this shit. The kid had full trust and faith in his friend, but his friend was gone and all that was left was a shell willing to do the bidding of Ventress. Who are we supposed to be rooting for here? I mean, Dooku is an asshole and Ventress is an asshole. It's not like Ventress is on some grand and moral crusade. She just wants revenge, and she's willing to kill the innocent to see her plan succeed. I guess we should root for simultaneous brain aneurysms? I don't know. So Ventress gives the new assassin a little spiel and sends him off to meet Dooku. They meet. Dooku sends the assassin, who is named Asajj. I don't think I've mentioned his name in this review yet. Anyway, Dooku sends him to knock out a Jedi temple as a test of his abilities. You can see some hesitation in Asajj's face at first, a little humanity shining through all the hocus pocus magic, I suppose. But Asajj ends up going. There's already a little battle going on. Asajj just mows through a bunch of clone troopers and is face to face with 2 Jedi. He kills them both and then gives Dooku a call that the temple has been taken over. I'd say I liked about half of this episode. Once Asajj killed his pal, that's when things got interesting to me. Other than that, I haven't really gotten into the Nightsisters and what they are. I can't really seem to get into potions and hexes and magic spells. I'm also a little torn about who I'm supposed to be rooting for here. In a way, I like that and I find it interesting, but on the flip side, it kind of feels like I'm just watching 2 shitheads fight it out when I have no stake in the game and don't really care who wins. Obviously, we know who wins. We know Dooku survives because movies. So there's not much tension there either, I suppose. As much as I do enjoy seeing some of the prequel movie characters come into play in the show, because they get smoothed out and we get to learn more about them, they get developed, a part of me wishes this wasn't the case, because as I've said in past videos, the Clone Wars oftentimes feels like the villain of the week. Bad guys popping up here and there, always escaping, always getting away, because we know they at least make it to Revenge of the Sith. There's a good and a bad side to this, in my opinion. I think the plot found in this episode and this arc would be a lot more nerve-wracking for the audience if Dooku wasn't the main target and instead it was a different show-only Sith character who we'd been following for a little while, but that's just me. Anyway, yeah, I'm hoping this arc is starting to heat up for me. So far, I've been a little underwhelmed and pretty disinterested, but there are a lot more episodes to go in this arc, and that could easily change. Maybe it's a slow burn. Oh, and I'm really surprised I didn't see Darth Maul. I thought this is where he was gonna pop up. I'd be surprised if he didn't appear at some point in this arc early on. I guess I'll see. HelloGreedo, out.